Hello and welcome back to the prestigious Pope series. I've played a little more without updating, so here's a quick summary. With our increase in power rank and continued efforts to improve relations, Tuscany has finally agreed to enter our customs union. Their economy is much more developed than the minor countries currently in our market. They produce a lot of clothes, including luxury clothes, as they have their own silk plantations. They also bring with them a hugely better source of iron, as well as yet more potential for sulfur mining. They even have their own university. I have continued to expand our arts academies to the point that the national budget can barely afford the cost, even with our new per capita tax laws. I did this to pursue a redacted that made Rome the center of the realist movement, greatly improving the throughput of the academies and therefore our prestige. You know what? I'll be nice and give you a screenshot. So we have here the Arts Academy of Lazio. It's become a major art center of the realist movement, producing some of the finest works of our generation. How delightful, and also lovely art always. That's powerful, or at least it seems so. It is indeed very powerful, though it has brought the national budget to its breaking point to achieve this. We are on the precipice of greatness. The 9th most prestigious country in the world. We only need to jump up one more spot to become a great power. Oh, the Arts Academy isn't even fully employed since I expanded it. And now we have victory. We are now a great power. Papal States, a great power in 1844. I don't think we're quite done yet, though. I want to see my semi-unification plan through. That sounds broken. Yeah, we'll definitely want to balance this some more, though worth bearing in mind that I devoted pretty much the entire national budget of a mid-sized nation to nothing but the production of art in order to achieve this. My great power rank isn't worth the ink it's printed on due to my utter lack of military or even economic power. I'm a great power in name only. But you are still a great power. Indeed. I'm now going to continue to stretch the budget by expanding my university, which I'm doing so I can research nationalism faster. We just got a trade agreement with France. It's quite nice since France was already my go-to trading partner, and it helps improve relations further, so with any luck, France would help us out in a conflict. It's highly economical and diplomatically beneficial. Both sides might agree to join the market now with great power status, and this is just a single Italy declaration away from forming a realistic Italy. No. The two Sicilies views the Papal States as in need of their protection in geopolitical affairs. They're likely to intervene on our side in diplomatic plays and may offer Papal States to become their subject. The two Sicilies is a power in their own right, and they correctly see themselves as the stronger nation. If I can ever get my economy fixed, I could build an army to conquer them or something, but that's a very long way off. Is it time to build a military to protect this great power status then? With what money? Art is really expensive. We finally have a university worthy of some sort of renown. The Pope himself has officially opened the University of Lazio. Academia is beginning to flourish in the Papal States. Is the University of Oxford already in the Great British market? Both Oxford and Cambridge are hugely more advanced universities than Rome, unfortunately. Great Britain is way ahead in the tech game. Between the two, they have 10 levels of university in Britain. I have 2. At least Britain hasn't discovered dialectics yet, else their universities would be supercharged. Research dialectics meta confirmed. Researching the capacity for faster research is always going to be an appealing prospect, but like everything else, there's the opportunity cost. For reasons I'm not entirely sure about, Umbria has just about the highest standard of living in Europe. I usually look at Paris for a standard of living benchmark, but something seems to have gone wrong over there. People are starving in Paris. It's odd. AI France has shut down all industry in Paris, except for a massive furniture industry that churns out inexpensive luxury chairs. While that does improve the average standard of living due to cheap pop demands, the people working in those factories are not well paid due to supply greatly eclipsing demand, and since everyone in Paris works in the furniture industry, it is a very poor city. Maybe France wanted to sell you fancy chairs. I've actually begun to make my own fancy chairs. Between Rome and Tuscany, silk is vaguely affordable in the Roman market now. Only vaguely, though. Now that I have the academies, universities, and administrations that I needed in Rome, I'll start expanding the silk plantations to make my own luxury goods industries more viable. As an aside, the current law I'm trying to pass is agrarianism. This isn't a great law for my purposes either, but it beats traditionalism and unlocks better tax laws. Economic reform is a very slow process, since I have been focusing on major social change that would make faster reform possible. Looking overseas, the United Sovereign Archduchy, led by Emperor Mason Warland, describes itself as a constitutional empire. Its leading interest group is the petty bourgeoisie. Japan seems to be having a civil war. Both sides are led by members of the Tokugawa clan. What? Yeah, this is definitely not a Meiji Restoration scenario. Exciting times in the USA. A Republican revolt has broken out. Bankroll them! Two problems with that. I have not invented central banking, and I have no money. Art is expensive. The Emperor holds on to Washington, D.C., while the rebels have chosen Philadelphia as their capital. The literacy rate is much better now, but still pretty terrible. 34.5%. I'm not sure that our current education system will push literacy much higher than what it is now. Unlike in previous builds, you can now invest in religious schools up to max level, but I'm capped at 3 due to my child labour laws, and there's really no support for banning child labour. Wait, what are you doing to the children? Presumably they work in the silk plantations, or maybe they're all apprentices to our world-renowned artists. The price of silk just will not stabilize. I keep making more, but that just encourages other countries to buy it, when I'd prefer it remain within my market. My economic laws do not allow me to restrict exports. So I can run my luxury goods industries, but their input costs are fairly expensive. They're not as efficient as they could be. Would agrarianism help with restricting exports? Only luxury goods, unfortunately. I think I'd need mercantilism to have the control I want. Or command economy, but that's entirely beyond my reach. What year is it? It's 1845. We have mass communication, which means we can finally start researching nationalism. The capitalists who run my one and only luxury furniture factory are insanely wealthy. I hadn't been keeping track of my interest groups for a while. Turns out that if you orient an entire nation towards art production, the academic types who make the art and run the universities become quite powerful. There are liberals everywhere. If the liberals start any political movements, I'd be pretty open to giving them what they want, though I will not cave in on the theocracy law. We're sticking with the Pope. For now, the only active movements are to install a monarchy for some reason, and to preserve our terrible traditionalism law. Neither movement is popular or radical. Downside of my trade agreement with France, they can buy my silk more easily. The Republican side of the American Civil War is winning. Is constitutional theocracy a possibility? Absolutely! When will the agrarianism reform pass? Well, it could be years. It's painfully slow, and agrarianism is only something I'm doing to unlock better tax laws, which will themselves take a long time to pass. Wow. Emperor Mason stands no chance at all, which makes sense. The Republican seized nearly all the actually developed states, except for, like, New York. Italians demand more wine, building more vineyards. I think it's a good time to ask what will happen to Emperor Mason Warland if he were to lose. It would not go well for him. Are there foreign powers involved in the Civil War? Great Britain supports the Empire, but they don't seem to actually be lending much of a hand. What's your market like? Things are mostly within our global averages, with some exceptions. Wine is very expensive. Luxury clothes are cheaper than rags. Actually, I should really fix that. I'll export them. Alright, I've sold a bunch of luxury clothes to France. The price is now reasonable. Reasonable as in going down or going up? Going up. There's no sense in having really cheap luxuries. The pops who actually need them can afford to pay more, and the people producing luxuries aren't paid well if supply eclipses demand. It's odd. Both Bavaria and Belgium are having revolutions that appear to be peasant revolts? Daniel, please, if you can. How is the Vicky 3 OST, if you're allowed to say? So much of my time is humming along to all the Vicky 2 OSTs that I'm hoping it'll be the same. The music is fantastic. So, France will probably be the world's largest wine producer? Yeah, France is by far the largest producer of wine. Agrarianism has a 30% chance to pass this year. Not terrible, but also not likely. How many states are currently owned by the Pope? The same 3 I started with. But nationalism will hopefully give me a couple more. The United States of America has been restored. The Emperor has been deposed. what happened between the UK and the USA? The war ended when the Emperor surrendered. It's nearly Risorgimento time. The devastation of the American Civil War has left the restored Republic quite weak. I actually outrank them with my glorious art. I'm actually very curious. I'm going to go and check out the American laws. The USA seems to have a lot of legacy laws for its time as an empire, and it's trying to pass migration controls to appease the trade unions. Slavery has not been abolished. It's a really, really strange USA. Whatever happened to Emperor Mason Warland, he's very, very dead. Literacy is up to 40%. Surprised it continued to increase at all. So there might be another civil war? That's very possible. They're also currently fighting the Great Sioux Nation. We have nationalism. It's partial unification time. Right away, Modena has decided they'd like to confederate with us. I get some infamy for annexing them, but it's not a lot. Parma has joined as well. Garibaldi is on our side. Is Garibaldi guaranteed to spawn? Under the right conditions. We ought to figure out a way to enable more stupid self with Garibaldi. Papal Garibaldi is one thing, but imagine a Pope Garibaldi. Better the Pope than disunity Garibaldi in this timeline. That appears to be his stance. Neither Sicily nor Sardinia are anywhere near close to their own unification movements. We do not have the bureaucratic capacity to handle our new citizens. Guess we need more government administrations. Doing all this without good tax laws is quite painful. How's your relationship with Austria? What's the status on Lombardy and Venetia? Relations with Austria are cordial. They continue to occupy Lombardy and Venice, and we just annexed Tuscany. The Roman market is becoming an expanded papal state. Tuscany, Parma, Modena, that's all of central Italy, isn't it? Well, we're still waiting on Lucca. And there goes Lucca. Central Italian unification achieved. What's going on in France? Austria is trying to puppet a German minor, and France doesn't like that. Why is France also at war with Switzerland? Switzerland is an Austrian puppet. That's interesting. I suddenly have money. I guess the unification has improved the economy. Tuscany has low market access. Previously being a national capital, got it extra infrastructure, but now under the papal state, it's just a state. This means I'll actually need to build a railway. In the meantime, I'll elect a decree for road maintenance. Dan, can you start a diploplay in Sardinia? I certainly can. Will you do it? I'd consider a unification war, but I'd rather wait until France isn't busy. With France being at war with Austria, wouldn't that be better? Right now, France and Austria are busy fighting each other. I don't have the ability to fight either of the Italian powers on my own, since all my money goes into art. Have you considered spending less on art? No. But the new money from unification might change that. Not really. I need to use that money on bureaucracy. I really like this war goal. I hope it gets enforced. Liberate Lombardia. This one is less interesting. Krakowian war reparations. I'm researching central archives to improve my government administrations. Expanding the buildings is much less efficient than having better production methods. Can you somehow intervene in the war, World War I style? Excluding the current military, just a general question. With what army? Rome has become quite attractive to migrants lately. We have some Poles, Germans, and Slovenes. Are we discriminating them? The papacy is really quite tolerant when it comes to culture. So long as you're Catholic and vaguely European, you're accepted in Rome. How is France versus Austria going? Very well for me. France is winning. They have help from Sardinia as well. Oh, and also Prussia, but they're not a negotiating party. Wow. Austria was actually hoping to subjugate Prussia in this war. That is not going to happen. If it gets enforced, who will get Lombardia? It's released as an independent nation, and then I will attempt to unify with them. Austria gradually dropping its war goals as defeat becomes inevitable. Austria barely has any Austria left. They're down to just Styria. My god, these borders. Did your Württemberg leak? Yeah, they took Tyrol in the war. This seems to be quite a stable build considering how long the AAR has been going. Yeah, this is the most stable the build has been in a while. We need so much sugar and wine. I'll expand the farms nationwide. How's America doing? Well, they're losing a war to the Great Sioux Nation. The Civil War really messed them up. What are the Sioux war goals? Well, they want to annex large swathes of the Midwest. Damn, can you see the casualties of the Civil War? I think around 500,000 people died or were wounded. So, based on the picture, is America socialist now or just radically liberal? Nobody knows what a socialism is yet. America is a troubled nation. Devastation and unrest are still high. Another civil war is likely. West Switzerland is free, though. East Switzerland is an Austrian state. The first papal railway now runs between Florence and Arezzo. Did France ever sort out Paris, or is it still a giant furniture sweatshop? Now it's an even bigger furniture sweatshop, with trains. People in France are incredibly poor. The British Empire is in crisis. Quebec and the East India Company are revolting, with Spanish and Brazilian support. What about China? How are they doing? Well, they imploded due to a bug. Pretty sure I know what's causing the China issue. Large number of Poles are migrating to Ceylon. What is this world? Poles do tend to migrate a lot, though, due to their discriminated status in the Russian Empire. Practically anywhere else is better. Things are worse for Britain than I thought. They're facing a revolution on Britain itself, with the revolutionaries demanding a republican government. The revolutionaries appear to have the upper hand. The loyalists only retain Yorkshire, the home counties, and the West Country. Ireland has risen up, demanding independence. And it selected King Dennis Pendergast as its sovereign. And Lombardy has joined our customs union, which boosted relations enough for them to accept an alliance. We can accept annexation to follow. That was fast. Lombardy has joined the Papal States. Can you form other tags like Italy? I don't have enough states to form Italy. Finally, the Central Archives. We no longer have massive tax waste from insufficient bureaucracy. As a result, we actually have some money. We also just acquired this, the arms industries in Lombardy. Size 5 is quite big, right? It is indeed quite big. I won't give explicit information on how Italian unification works, but it does at least seem to be working. I think this will be the end of this episode of Prestigious Pope. I might very well return to this again, with the next session focusing on military build-up and a play to annex Sicily and Sardinia. The year, by the way, is 1849. So 1848 was the year of revolution. Yes, the Irish Revolution, and British. And that is where we are going to leave the second part of the Prestigious Pope little AAR series. Really enjoyed doing these again. I hope you are enjoying it as well. The method that I used for the previous video doesn't work anymore. Programs or software and crazy. I'm sorry. Hope this was good for you guys, though. Thankfully, the guy who uploaded all of these images cut out all the fat for me, so chef's kiss, perfect. Thank you very much. And yeah, a couple of days' time, you'll get part 3, the final part of the Prestigious Pope AAR series. Thank you very much to Daniel Tolman for uploading these, or talking about them on the Victoria 3 Discord. There's a link to that in the description below. Until the next one, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.